Hi guys, back in the hobby room, and got a question on how do I do my door jambs after I open the door and get the hinge on there. How do I do the jambs? How do I build them? And I said a lot of it was trial and error, and some of it is, but I thought I'd go through the process since I'm doing two chargers right now. I thought I'd just share with you, since each charger is in a little different stage, the steps I go through. First off is getting the hinge, getting that built, set up so a door swings correctly. Then I take the door in, okay, and I put the interior tub in, okay. I'll slide that up in there, and I will make a mark. You can kind of see it on this gray body. It shows it better on the white one. But I make a mark where the interior tub, maybe it shows up. You can see that little pencil mark. So I know that I have to put in styrene in order to pass that so I can sand it back. Now, I use sheet styrene, 0.015, thin, flimsy, but strong enough, holds the jam nice. And the first thing I do is cut a strip. Okay, so I have two pieces for this car, because I will lay the piece inside and push it down, hold it down. So now it's held down, and then I will take the plastic cement and a small brush. So I just take the, push it up there good, make sure it's overlapping that line, and I hold that in there, dip in a little bit of this, and I just glue that edge real good. And then real simple, I just clamp it down with a clothespin or something. Don't go too crazy here, because that glue will seep under that seam and it'll actually glue to your door, and then you've glued your door shut again. So once that piece is in, I get that glued in there tight. Okay, so there's that piece. I have to do on this car, I have to do a two-piece jam, so I will hold that in there. Okay, see if you can see that. And I'll put this piece on it and glue it the same way. So now I've started the jam, and you can see that on this one I have the jam, the rough cut jam, in there already, and I'll show it to you from the inside here. So here's the inside. I've got the top piece glued, got this, and it forms around it nicely, especially when you use the plastic cement there. It'll form in it nicely. Then I take the door off, okay, and once the door's off, I will run a really light bead of that liquid plastic cement right there, just to tighten that up a little bit. Then I let it dry really well. Well, after that, I come back and I sand this so that it's flush with the interior tub. I put the interior tub in, I make sure, so I test fit, I sand, I test fit, and make sure that this back panel and this jam are just about at the same level, so that they're equal. Because after I do this, I've got to take another piece of styrene and lay that in there and trace around it. So I get this held in there like so. And all I do, take a pencil and draw around that jam. Now I'm able to cut that out, and so snip, 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 I cut that out, and now I'm able to glue that in there with the same plastic cement and just lightly sand it around the seam and get it to where it's flush and looks nice. And then you have yourself your interior back jam to hold the door when it shuts. The other part of that is, well, now you've got the door on, and on this piece, when the door's open, you're not going to want that hole. So I've got to tack this in place where it's going to set, okay, and it'll set right about where that line's at, and I've got to make a piece so you see that line, that's where the panel's going to set. Well, now I've got to come up with a way to fill this and make it flush with this piece and this piece. So I have to basically trial and error that in there until that comes out the way I want it, so that that hole's covered. Once this piece is in flush with the panel and this piece is in and flush with the back panel, okay, so now I've got this and everything's in, the back panel and the filler panel for the door. I go in and I will glue one of these magnets, and this was off of Dr. Cranky's, one of his videos, and I forgot where he got the magnets, but these little suckers are wonderful. They fit in tight little spots. You can see that and how small it is, but man, they really stick together hard. You want to make sure, though, when you put these in, you're going to put one inside this door panel, and then you're going to put one inside this at the same level. You want to make sure that your jam, that your car door, it will pull this way. When you put that in, those magnets will pull, so you want to make sure that the gap here doesn't get too big, because you'll put your door in, and I'll show you what I mean. You want to make sure that that is in the right position, so when you build this jam, everything looks pretty good there until your door gets sucked way back, okay? And that's when you want to make sure that you're pretty tight, okay, on this, because you don't want too much gap in between this jam and this jam. You want just enough that when you close the door, you're not sucking your door way back. So you got to make sure that it's tight fit. I don't mind a little gap here, because that'll be the body color, okay? But you don't want that big huge gap there, because it just doesn't look right. And so since it's posable, it'll look nice open, but you don't want that big huge gap there. So you got to play with that a little bit. Use a thin piece of styrene between your two jams to give it just a little room to close, but just enough room to where it won't suck it shut a great deal. Well, that is pretty much the process. It's a lot of trial and error. I am constantly putting this inside here, making sure things are going to line up and and work right. So again, it is a little trial and error, and you just take your time getting these things all glued in nicely, and things should turn out fine if you take your time. You just have to realize this is not an overnight project. This is something when you sit down and you cut things out, you make sure they're sanded well. You make sure the jambs are glued well. Really let things dry. So that should hopefully answer any questions anybody's had about the door jambs. Because if you get the jamb put in there right, you get a nice fit, and you don't have that popped out door look. Okay, when you close it, it should sit nice and flush there. And so once you get the jamb built, everything's good, and you should have a nice posable vehicle that looks good with the doors open, and you can show off all that fantastic interior work you guys do. Alright, that should do it. Hopefully I will be able to put up another video of maybe some progress on these. Right now it's been slow going with work, doing the Make It Take It program, and I'll get another video up on that. So guys, it's going to be a busy weekend for me. Not too much down here in the hobby room, but busy weekend. So I hope you guys have a good weekend, and we will look forward to some videos next week. Have a good one.